There are some times that I start recording these and I'm not upset at all. Most of the time, even if I maybe look upset, I'm just having a good time. I'm just a dude sitting here talking about ball. What could be better? But this is one of those times that I'm starting and I'm angry. There people all over the world, people on the streets in New York, people on the streets in London, in Paris, in Delhi, in Beijing, they need to be screaming out about the injustice that's been suffered by none other than Equatorial Guinea. I know what you're thinking. Who gives a shit about Equatorial Guinea? One, I do. All right. But it is an easy nation to overlook. Most of the people in all those cities I just named will probably not even be able to tell you it's a country. If you want to know, it is. It's in Africa. It's about halfway down on the left. Bit of a unique history. It's got stronger ties to Spain through colonial stuff. They weren't involved in French West Africa. They weren't involved in the English stuff in the east and the south, or they're not part of the northern quadrant. They're halfway down to the left, and they weren't wrapped up in the Belgian thing. They were doing their own thing. So it's a bit of a unique country. But it's easy to get lost. It's not very big. It's got the same name as Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Papua New Guinea. There's a lot of Guineas, right? And Equatorial Guinea is the one that has the most syllables. And so it's just easy to pretend that it doesn't really matter much and just kind of ignore it, right? It's easier. Life is easier that way if you aren't burdening yourself with the troubles of Equatorial Guinea. But come with me for a moment as I introduce the idea that they might be getting screwed harder than anyone by FIFA. Because Equatorial Guinea, it turns out, a revelation to some, is not bad at football. They got a pretty good team. Actually, very competent team. They are really competitive, and they have been, particularly over the last 4 years. Which, if you know anything about the football calendar, if you've got a team that's kind of on the rise, playing better and better, and then that World Cup qualifying hits, that is your opportunity. That is your window to make the dream work. The Equatorial Guinean national team has actually made the knockouts at each of the last two Africa Cup of Nations. This is not an easy tournament. Ghana has not done this, right? Other notable teams that are considered much more prestigious internationally have not made consecutive knockouts at the Africa Cup of Nations. Equatorial Guinea has. I made the quarterfinals in 2021, as you can probably see very astutely. They also had a fourth place finish in 2015 when they were hosts. They made the quarterfinals in 2012. Right? In the last 11 years, they've made at least the round of 16 at AFCON 4 different times. That's competent as hell. That's very good. Okay, and in the round of 16, this past edition, and it's not a freaking magazine here, they actually played well enough to advance. I'll go ahead and say it. They ended up dropping 1-0 to their namesake Guinea, right? Or their name bro or their name rival or whatever it is. Guinea scored in the 98th minute. Equatorial Guinea missed a penalty earlier in this match. They'd scored that penalty. Who knows how this match would have gone. They would have been trying to kill it off, right? But Equatorial Guinea had the first monster chance to score, and the guy that missed the penalty was a player named Emilio Nsue. Now, Emilio Nsue is the captain, the talisman of this Equatorial Guinea team. He is somebody that managed to lead Equatorial Guinea to a finish above Nigeria and Ivory Coast in the group stage of this tournament. He scored a hat trick against Guinea-Bissau and 2 more goals against Ivory Coast. He's the all-time leading goal scorer, this guy right here, for Equatorial Guinea. He was born in Mallorca, Spain. He's played his entire career in Spain, mostly as a defender. Guy plays fullback, but he steps in and plays center forward like he was born there for Equatorial Guinea, and it's always been very impressive. 45 appearances, 22 goals. 3 of those 4 Africa Cup of Nations runs Emilio Nsue has been a part of, and now that team seems to be coming in around him. It's a shame he missed that penalty. Obviously, great for Guinea that they were able to get through that and get to the quarterfinal of AFCON. But if you're looking at teams that might be able to be a spoiler, that might be able to be a surprise team to make a run to the World Cup, there are 9 teams going to the World Cup from Africa. If you are that close to getting to the final 8 at the Africa Cup of Nations, you are good enough to make it to the World Cup. You're playing at a high enough level. If you win a group over Nigeria and Ivory Coast, you're plenty good enough to make it to the World Cup, which is where Emilio Nsue's situation comes to the fore, because it came out after the Africa Cup of Nations, in which he missed this penalty and won the Golden Boot, that he was ruled ineligible by FIFA. He was ruled ineligible after an 11-year career with Equatorial Guinea. But this happened last year. You see, this is an AP release from June 3rd, 2024. Right? They published a detailed verdict that reinforced an initial verdict that, if I remember correctly, they didn't enforce, but they made a judgment that they should void a couple of Equatorial Guinea's matches in World Cup qualifying, but it kind of never got passed down, and basically everybody just kind of forgot about it and moved on. But the argument does not hinge on the fact that Emilio Nsue is not Equatorial Guinean at all. He is. He was just born in Spain, but he's, as much as any of the other kind of dual nationals that exist in the world are eligible for a country, he is eligible for Equatorial Guinea. The issue here is a technicality. The fact that he was playing for Spanish youth national teams in actual competitive youth national team matches before he switched to playing for the senior team of Equatorial Guinea. Again, this guy has played for 11 years for this country. He is the captain of this country. He is the dude. Okay, if you think of Equatorial Guinean football, which I do on occasion, he's the guy you think of. He's the one guy that you're like, yeah, that's the guy. He's always wearing the captain's armband, bald head, beard, right there. That's the look. It's Emilio Nsue. It's what he does. But they've said that because he played these competitive matches at a youth level, he's not, he never filed the kind of formal full-time switch thing, then he's not eligible to play. And that dropped a year ago. And that was catastrophic, because what happened as a result of this decision by FIFA completely ruined Equatorial Guinea's chance to make it to the World Cup. Ruined it. Because Emilio Nsue had played in the first two World Cup qualifying matches of this cycle. And they were both wins for Equatorial Guinea. They won both games. Not only did they win both games, they won both games thanks to a solo goal by Emilio Nsue. They were literally both 1-0 wins that Emilio Nsue was the goal scorer in. So 6 points from their first two matches, feeling ready to conquer the world. 8 matches left in the group. They did not have a particularly easy group, but hey, you win your first two. They beat Liberia. They beat Namibia, who managed to make it to an AFCON. They're not a complete pushover. Those are solid wins. Now they're gone. What happens when a player's ruled ineligible? 3-0 forfeits in both of those matches. In a 10-match season, basically, in that group, over. You have to win the group to automatically qualify. If not, you have to be one of the highest pointed second-place teams. Even if you win 8 of your 10 matches, that's not even guaranteed. Right? And you're not going to win you're not going to win the other 8 matches that you play, because African qualifying is a mess and nobody wins everybody Nobody in African qualifying manages to win all of their matches. Even the Nigeria, Ghana, and Ivory Coast teams at their height still drop points somewhere. They just do. The road conditions, the travel, it's a madhouse, right? And it is like football in its purest form in a lot of ways. But that result essentially sinks Equatorial Guinea's chance at qualifying for the World Cup on a technicality. The issue I have with this, before I even get to why I'm actually mad, is there needs to be some sort of statute of limitations on this, right? This guy's been playing in World Cup qualifying. This guy's been playing in Africa Cup of Nations qualifying, in Africa Cup of Nations. He is the talisman of Equatorial Guinea, as I've stressed. At a certain point, if you don't piece together that you think that he filed some paperwork wrong, then, it's a common law marriage at this point. Right, it's a common law marriage at this point. If we've let this guy make over 40 appearances for the national team, at a certain point, you just let it go. Like, we're really not going to come flying in here 11 years later and be like, you forgot to dot the I and cross the T. Now, it was a little more serious than that. All right, is a 15-page FIFA document that was released in May of last year, where apparently the Equatorial Guinean, I used the wrong phrase before, the Equatorial Guinean Federation didn't really know how this worked and basically asked Spain for his release instead of FIFA. All right, this led to the first 2 World Cup qualifying matches, which were judged to be forfeit by FIFA. And then they applied for the formal switch, which for some fucking reason, FIFA decided to reject because of a belatedly acquired new nationality. Basically saying that he too recently actually got his Equatorial Guinean passport, even though he is Equatorial Guinean, right? That it was another sort of logistics paperwork thing. And yet that was the end of it. After they applied for that, and apparently it was rejected, that clearly wasn't communicated very well because he just kept playing for the team. Emilio Nsue, they didn't try to reapply. They just, like, I don't know if somebody missed the email, the fax got sent to the wrong machine. He just kept playing, and nobody gave a shit. For 11 years, nobody cared. And Emilio Nsue just kept playing, assuming that he was eligible to play. Because why on earth would you try and play a player that's not eligible to play? Because then you're guaranteed to lose every match 3-0 if you think you're actually in danger of that. And if you're a team that's losing to like Equatorial Guinea in World Cup qualifying, and this is anywhere near public knowledge, or maybe it's not even public knowledge, but somebody in the coaching staff knows it, and they happen to whisper it in your ear. Like, all you have to do is go to FIFA and you can get these matches voided, but it never happened. There seemed to be a complete misunderstanding about the actual status of Emilio Nsue, and that misunderstanding was on the books in the FIFA office collecting dust, while Gianni Infantino was pretending to be an immigrant somewhere, right? Like, there was nothing to this. It was technicalities anyways. And then now there's definitely nothing to it. These are like technicalities, bureaucratic technicalities from 10 years ago. The guy's had an Equatorial Guinea passport for 12 years as of now. And he has been part Equatorial Guinean his entire life. And not only that, the guy's like the captain of the national team. Not like he is. I love this sentence from the AP piece that was published on ESPN here. It is unclear why FIFA did not prosecute those games. Talking about all of the World Cup qualifying matches that he played previously, and that it's just unclear why FIFA decided not to prosecute those matches. It's the reason I'm just talking about. There's no other explanation. Everybody forgot about it. Somebody missed an email, and it just vanished from everybody's, thought process. Right? FIFA was processing and letting Emilio Nsue play in World Cup qualifying match after World Cup qualifying match without doing anything. There was no red flag coming up in their system like, oh, he's not supposed to be there. Whoa, what's happened? But if you're wondering why I'm actually mad now, it's because, look at these, dude. I mean, Emilio Nsue, 9th minute goal. This is a 1-0 win against Liberia. This is the match against Namibia. Emilio Nsue, 67th minute. Boom. Equatorial Guinea, that's 6 points. Look at where they are now. They had to play these two matches, obviously, without Emilio Nsue. They lose 1-0 to Tunisia, who's a legit World Cup team. They beat Malawi 1-0. If they were given the wins that they deserved, they would be on 9 points. Namibia would be on 5. Liberia would be on 4. And Equatorial Guinea would be 1 point off Tunisia with a completely legitimate chance with 6 matches to go to actually be able to beat them. Tunisia just drew Namibia. This is a team Equatorial Guinea beat. Right? They would be completely right in the thick of it. And that's why I'm so freaking incensed on their behalf. Because this is a once-in-a-generation chance for a country that is never going to be, very likely, at the level of a Nigeria, right? Of an Egypt, where they're constantly producing a national team that is going to be a favorite in their qualifying group. They're not. But they can produce a national team that can give them a chance, like Togo back in the day, where you can get to that one World Cup and it's just a magic moment for everybody. This can be that for them. And you know what FIFA just did? They just reinstated Emilio Nsue on his new application. He has now been accepted back, cleared to play. There was widespread surprise in May when football's governing body handed Nsue a 6-month ban, deeming him ineligible. At the time, FIFA said it was comfortably satisfied that Nsue had never received clearance to formalize his switch from Spain, but that changed when FIFA approved a second request by Equatorial Guinea, 12 years apart from the first. Look. This is bullshit. This is fucking stupid. If all they have to do is apply again and then all of a sudden he meets the criteria, why can't we look at this situation and go, oh shit, he meets the criteria. We'll just go, like, it's cool. We'll just switch a few numbers around. Like, and you're all good to go. If he's not eligible to be playing, why are you letting him play? Why have you not come out with this the moment he stepped on the field again when Equatorial Guinea clearly thought that he was okay? But now, the best chance Equatorial Guinea may ever have to make it to the World Cup has been torpedoed by bureaucratic incompetence and fucking stupidity. He's back. He missed 2 matches in this World Cup qualifying section, but his existence cost them 2 more. And now they're sitting on 3 points after 4 matches with a snowball's chance in hell at making a World Cup they should be able to go to. And I'm going to just say something. Reverse it back. You have to reverse it back. The matches were played. They were played in full. Equatorial Guinea won both of them. I have nothing against Namibia or Liberia, but Equatorial Guinea is better. I know that as part of this story, Equatorial Guinea clearly did not file their paperwork in exactly the right way here, right? The order of operations was not correct. But I think it is also clear that to forfeit the 2 games that Emilio Nsue played in, when he clearly meets all the criteria, because I don't know, he's been accepted now as a player on the first application, the first appeal of like, oh shit, you think he's not okay? We'll just do the application now. And they had to wait until the end of the 6-month ban in order to do this application. That's the only reason he wasn't able to play in the last matches. It's because he served an actual 6-month ban, and then they did the application, and then it switched, and now all of a sudden he's able to play. And Nsue said, "I am overjoyed to be back with my national team and to compete for the flag and the people of Equatorial Guinea. Now it's time to focus on our upcoming qualification matches, and hopefully we can make every Equatorial Guinean proud of us." That's an honorable answer, and thank you to Piers Edwards here at BBC for putting this piece together. That's a very honorable answer. But this situation is dumb, it sucks, and I hope logic and justice prevail here so that Equatorial Guinea gets back to the point that it should be at, that it earned on the field to be at with the guy that, I don't know, has been captaining their team for a freaking decade. Drives me nuts. Such clear stupidity. This is where you need somebody above it all to just come in and be like, this is the way that it should be.